Hi, Upendra.
Hello, I hope you can
Hi.
hear me.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, so let me start first with what was your trajectory after IIT? Like, what did you do, and how did you land back in IIT Bombay?
Okay. Okay, that's long story. So I was not really. I mean, I did not know what I really wanted to do. It just I was probably one of those guys who, you know, okay, you got through JEE, you come to IIT, you don't know why you are here. Okay, maybe it's true of many of us. Because some guys seem to know exactly what they want to do. So I definitely was not one of them. So after I finished my bachelor's, I was not keen on higher studies. So I said I would rather be in an industry. And I do remember at that time there were at least Infosys had come in, and it was a brand new company then, and they were hiring a lot. And my thoughts were again, should I really get into software? So I said no, that doesn't seem a good idea. Let me go to a traditional company. So I joined Tata Power, okay, which was in Mumbai itself, and I was happy because my parents lived in Mumbai. And but I think within a year I got slightly frustrated. It was not the kind of experience that I wanted. And one day I came back to the campus because some other batchmate was coming back, and we just met on the campus, and we met a senior professor, Professor Amarnath, and he was just chatting with us, and he says, "I have a project. Why don't you just come back?" And I think I had reached a level of frustration in Tata Power, so I said, "Okay, maybe I'll just come back." And I even at that point I was not sure what I wanted to do. I thought maybe I can be an entrepreneur, be something else. And so I was exactly a year in Tata Power, and after that, sometime. So that means I was back in IIT the next July, in July 1996, and then by around September or October, I thought I should really go for higher studies. Maybe that is what I should do. So of course I took the GRE, I applied. I was lucky enough to get to Minnesota. So I was at the University of Minnesota. My own batchmate was there. I mean, my own wingmate, Amit Raji from electrical, was already there. Then my other hostel mate from chemical, Sanat Mohanty, whom we used to call Santi, he was also there. Then there were other IITB people from our batch. So Mir Wagle was also there, and my other senior wingmate Tushar Gore was also there. So there were many people out there, and I was very happy to get there. And sometime, of course, I started with a master's, and towards the end of the master's, I was again feeling or getting this feeling whether this was the right place for me. So I realized that I had run away from many places many times. So I decided that I would push myself. I converted myself into a PhD, and then I think towards the last 2 years, I did work a lot, and that is when I decided that I think it's better for me to get back into teaching and research, and that's what I seem to be comfortable with. So I was 6 years in the US, 5.5 doing a PhD and half a year doing a postdoc, and then after that I spent a year in Antwerp in Belgium doing another postdoc, and in 2004 I finally moved back. Of course, if I wanted to be a faculty, I knew that it would be IITB would be the best place. I mean, what better place than come back to your own alma mater? So, and of course, my parents were in Mumbai, so that helped me make the decision. And I mean, I didn't want to really continue in the US. So, if I wanted to get back to India, I don't think any one of us would have thought of any other place than IITB. So, why IITB is a question that is easily answered. So, that's
Okay.
my answer.
All right. Thanks, Upendra. Um, how does it feel to be on the other side? Like when we were students at IIT, we were always on our benches, and I guess the professors were not really enemies, but um, I mean, we did do some kiras on them and all kinds of other things. So how do you feel being on the other side of the desk?
Um, Okay, okay, of course, it is definitely different. I mean, so I guess as a student, you are sitting on the bench and looking at the professor and then worrying about taking notes, and then maybe on the exam day, you're worrying about studying. So, of course, as a professor, it's just the other way around. You are worried that the next day you need to deliver a good lecture, and you know that there are at least a set of keen students who are out there wanting to ask you dangerous questions, and then you need to be ready for it. I'm telling you, it's teaching a class is not very easy. Okay, people can ask you pretty bad questions. You can be on the spot on the moment, and you need to give a decent answer. And sometimes, of course, you make it sure that you don't know everything, of course. So, and then you need to come up with a decent exam. So just like you write, students need to take a decent exam, you need to provide a decent exam, and then there is the worry that you need to get the grading done within a certain time. Okay, so we have strict rules. We as soon as the NSEM is over, we have 96 hours to really put our grades up. So there is a deadline for us, and we definitely, all of us, adhere to it. So yeah, from the other side, that's how it is. You have your other deadlines, not like the students had it, but that's how it is.
I see. Um, what about, like, when like, do the students sometimes play any kiras on you, and how do you
Oh,
handle
I'm
that?
sure I'm sure they do. Okay, sometimes probably I'm dumb not to notice. Sometimes I pretend I'm dumb and not notice, but a lot of times I just take it in my stride. And I think students know that I'm not a Kadus guy, so they know that they can get along well with me. I mean, I'm sure you also know there were enough faculty who probably you knew that you did not have too much tension. So as far as I think that students feel the same about me. If they have some other thought, then okay, I don't know what they think. So I hope they think that they don't have to be, or they do not think me as some Kadus professors.
What about your research at IIT? Do you, like, what subjects do you teach?
Okay,
How?
so I mentioned this in my yearbook too. My BTP guide was Professor Gaitonde. He himself was a BTech from here, and he was kind of the person who probably I looked up to when I was doing my PhD as well as my BTech. So I teach exactly the same subjects that he does, okay, which is thermodynamics and heat transfer, and they're all related subjects to it. But my research is very different. Of course, you realize that when you go to the US for a master's or PhD, whoever is offering you a scholarship in whichever subject, you just go there. And as I said, I was not really sure what subjects I was interested in. And the subject that I did my PhD in, it was in plasma. It was kind of plasma physics. So when I came back, I realized I was not going to get any students in mechanical engineering to do the kind of research I wanted. So I kind of diversified, and the good thing about IIT is no one questions you on what you're up to. No one expects you to do what you were doing earlier. So I chose kind of 5 different topics to search. In fact, my first 5 PhD students had zero overlap with each other. They were on 5 different tracks, okay, totally different topics, and only one of them was doing at least something peripheral to what I did in my PhD. So at least I had that freedom, and then slowly I have whatever I didn't like, I have thrown out. Till since the last 2 years, I am only focusing on what is known as rarefied gas dynamics. So flow of gases when they are in very in low, let's say, when in low pressure conditions. So that's how I put it. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so, like, given the current situation with COVID, and in general, I know that IIT does have, like, some struggle with funds because the government has reduced the funding. So, how would you think that the other alumni, like the rest of us, how we can help IIT, and what would you suggest?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that is a very serious question actually. So, uh, in fact, I was just talking to a few of my batchmates hardly an hour ago, and I was trying to tell them, see, when we were in IIT, or at least in IIT, our batch strength was barely 330.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember this. We were
Yeah, yeah.
around 300 plus slightly. 330 is what I think we were. And mechanical was around 55.
Mhm.
Now, this year itself, the intake for mechanical is 207. And the entire IIT intake is close to 1450. Okay? So that's more than 4 times our intake. Not 5 times, but between 4 and 5. And as you said, the government has stopped giving money for infrastructure. They expect us to take loans to make any hostels, make any new buildings, to invest in any infrastructure. So it has become a kind of crunch for us, something which we did not experience a few years ago. So we, and of course, even the loan taking ability is based on what you can provide. So even there is a limit on the loan that IITB can take. So I think we have a loan right now of around 1,000 crores for building two hostels and something like this. And then on top of this, again, I don't know if you remember, when we were students, there were 11 hostels. Okay, H10 and 11 were the girls' hostels, and then 1 to 9 were boys' hostels. And then when I came back as a faculty, they had already built 12 and 13. And then somewhere around 2007, the OBC reservations came in, and our strength went up by more than 50%. And there was a phase between 2008 and 12 when students were actually doubling up for more than 3 years. Okay, in fact, in hostel 6, I don't know if you have seen the rooms in hostel 6, 5, 9, they are all very similar, and they are really meant for one person. People were staying two to a room, and it was kind of tight period, those 5 years. And then slowly hostel 14 came up, hostel 15 came up, hostel 16 came up. And that was, we were becoming just comfortable around 2016 or so. And now there is the additional supernumerary quota for girls, and there is an additional 10% economically weaker section quota for open category. So that means again they want to maintain the general strength the same, and hence our numbers have increased now to this level. And on top of that, last year hostel 7 and 8, they were kind of condemned, in the sense they were unlivable. So now two hostels suddenly went out of picture. Even hostel 4 partially went out of the picture. So suddenly we are looking at the same situation again, and we need to build at least 3 or 4 big hostels if we want to tide over this crisis. So if anything, I would say that alumni should be keen on, because our juniors, at least I saw those 5 years, students went through a terrible time. And I think now, luckily, because of this lockdown, no one is on campus. Otherwise, this year again, the students would have faced a really bad time. And I think that is the main thing that I would really like all our alumni to think about. Somehow get a corpus fund going to get hostels in place, or at least hostel facilities in place. Of course, you probably should know, I don't know if you have come back, hostel 10 is no more what it was. It's a huge building now. Okay, because they had realized that the girls intake would increase. And now, even now it no longer can, though probably the size of H10 is, I don't know, maybe 4 times what it was when you were students. So, but even now it does not have the capacity to take the new intake. So we are back to kind of the same situation we were in 2008. So that is something that I would like to convey to our batchmates. If this is something that they can contribute to.
So yeah, so I know that for one of our org meetings, like one of the I don't remember his name, which professor it was, but he talked about how building hostels can be also very expensive. So
Yes, they are. Building hostels are very expensive. It would cost nearly, I don't know how much, maybe 400 crores to build one. So
yeah,
we may have probably talked to Professor Suhas Joshi, who is the Dean ACR, correct?
yes,
He's
yes,
the alumni and cultural. Yes, he probably would have made this statement. So
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, thank you for that, Upendra. It's very different from how we. I guess even when we were there, the hostels weren't in great condition. But I know that last year when my husband had visited H9, he said that it's become like really dilapidated, and it's really hard to
yeah, I mean, and
live.
H9 was one of the latest of the boys' hostels. Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah. So,
and then I think he also mentioned that there were two people per room, which is like really quite a bit for those tiny rooms.
yes.
Yeah,
So you already know what has happened. So
yeah. So thank you for
so
that.
I mean, if anything, I think we need to give students a better experience. So that is, I mean, our experience definitely was way better than this. I can tell you. We, of course, we lived a far peaceful life too. Things are more competitive now, because if you realize, the student strength per batch has gone up 4 times, and then there are similar increase in strengths for the masters and PhD. So the student strength is enormous in the campus. It's no longer what we used to see when we were students. So it's a big change, and our campus is extremely busy. Of course, it does look like maybe a good US campus now. A lot of students, everyone is working throughout. Good quality papers and research coming out. So that's a basic change. When we were probably known only as a teaching institute, now people do know us as a research institute too. But we do need to maintain that status now. So I think, I don't know how, but yeah, something needs to be done. So
Okay, so I think that's all my questions were, but do you have anything else you would like to talk about? Just about IIT maybe, or just in general?
no, I mean, so definitely for me, I'm happy. I mean, yeah, I think one of the questions I saw in the other interviews were, what do you miss most about IIT? You don't have to ask me this question because I'm sitting in IIT. Okay, and definitely, I really like to go and take walks in the campus. It's still very beautiful. Please do come back, is what I tell everyone. And I really was looking forward to this reunion at the beginning of this calendar year. Unfortunately, it's not happening, but I hope just because of this, we will come in fuller strength whenever the physical reunion happens. So I'm hoping that we will have a far better reunion than the other batches. So that is something that I'm definitely, hoping for, and I hope that comes true.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you so much, Upendra. It was a pleasure
Sure.
talking to you.